30 seconds and counting. 25 seconds and counting. We are still go. 20 seconds. Guidance alert. The guidance system now going internal. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon to our viewers in Europe. Thank you very much for tuning in, and Africa as well. And good morning to our viewers in the Western Hemisphere, and either good very early morning or may actually be late evening in the Pacific Rim. But welcome to the Angry Astronaut. Here we are at very key moments in the Artemis program, although the Artemis program, as all of us know, has kind of been thrown on its ear as of late. But we have a situation where the astronauts are going to be announced for Artemis 3. So let me give you a quick rundown on what all of this is going to be after you guys tell me where you're tuning in from. Oh, wow. We've already got 82 people watching. That's great. We've got somebody from Norway. I think it's Hoksund. I don't know. I'm probably mispronouncing that. In Australia, also checking in. Really, really appreciate it. We have Rochester. Thank you very much for tuning in. Rochester, New York. Where else are folks watching from today? Nottinghamshire. Thank you very much, Spartan, for being here today. Looking forward to this announcement. We'll see who's going to be going up on this mission. Hello, Aberdeen. Suzanne, thanks very much for tuning in. Really like Aberdeen. I've been there a number of times actually on my way to Shetland. Hello, North Carolina and Netherlands and Torino, Italy. Hello, Italy. Thanks for tuning in. And hello, Blue Ridge Mountains. Love the Blue Ridge Mountains. And hello, Central Florida, UK, sunny Scunny, I guess, and Nashville, Tennessee, and Phoenix and Syracuse, French Canuckistan. Thanks very much for being here. And hello, Alberta, Canada, Calgary. I love Calgary. Lovely, lovely city. Hello, Pennsylvania, Spitsbergen, and we have Ontario, Canada, and Newcastle. Boy, folks from all over tuning in as usual. Really appreciate you folks joining us today. NASA should be, hello, Sydney. NASA should be going live in about 10 minutes or so. And this is going to be interesting. We're going to see which direction NASA is heading in terms of who they select for these kinds of missions. Who are they going to include? Hello, Palm Springs, and hello, Vernon, Connecticut. Thanks very much for being here. Yes, David Grush on the Capitol steps. That's big news, definitely. Oh, thanks so much, Airborne Bob. Thank you so much for your generous support today. Airborne Bob, always supporting this channel so fantastically. Really, really appreciate it, from Valdosta, Georgia. And the reason I say it's interesting, it's obviously going to be interesting to see which NASA astronauts gets elected, but will one of these astronauts be a non-American? Are they going to do that again? The overwhelming sentiment is that's probably what's going to happen, but it might not. There are a number of people who are on the short list on the NASA side. We have, let's see here. We have Anne McClain and Johnny Kim are two astronauts that are at the front of the line that look like pretty likely candidates. Kim is a relatively recent astronaut. He joined in 2017. He's been on the ISS before. He was a Navy SEAL and a pilot. physician, combat medic, etc. It's possible that he might be one of them. McLean, she just came home from a 5-month mission to the International Space Station. And she's been around for a little while now. Chris Garris, thank you so much. Chris Garris, by the way, heading up a fantastic channel of his own, a Star Trek channel. As a matter of fact, Transporter Room, thank you very much. My fantastic producer today is helping me out. It's still early, kind of early here in Colorado, and I'm still trying to get my brain together. Hello, Farouk, New York, New York. Okay, really appreciate you joining me as always. Let's see, we also we have Kate Rubens, who actually just retired from NASA, but could be on the short list. Joe Acaba and Scott Tingle are all possible candidates for Artemis 3. Let's see who else we have here. We have Raja Chari, who was the commander of SpaceX's Crew 3 mission in 2022. All of these are people who have had some experience, some training on the Artemis side, on the moon mission side, even though this isn't a mission to the moon. Artemis 3 isn't going to involve that, but still it's going to be a very, very tricky mission. Nicole Mann is a NASA veteran that very well might be included on this mission. Nicole Mann was one of the first selections actually for the Starliner mission. Unfortunately, she got pulled off of that a little later on. But in any event, she has a huge amount of experience, especially with EVAs. But here's the big question. There's a lot of NASA astronauts on the list. Who's going to be included from another space agency, or will NASA include anybody? Are they going to just leave international partners out this time? If so, that's going to be making a really powerful statement that we're just going to go with the most qualified and experienced NASA astronauts, and we're not going to include these less experienced foreigners. I really hope that message doesn't get sent today, but maybe it will. There are some candidates that are really experienced and definitely qualified. The one who comes to mind for me right away is Samantha Cristoforetti from the European Space Agency. She was ISS commander for several months. She's been to space several times. She was actually the poster girl for Space Camp, amazingly. Her picture was all over the place in Houston, even though she's not a NASA astronaut. But she went to Space Camp as a child and then eventually became an astronaut. And so, that's just a feel good story that you have from Europe. And also, in addition to all of her other qualifications, I understand that she makes really good Italian food. And given that, one of the few luxuries that you might have on a moon mission these days that you didn't have back in the Apollo era is the food's better, as long as you have somebody who knows how to prepare it properly. And apparently she's pretty good at that too. So I don't know. We'll see. That would be an interesting add-on from the European Space Agency. But we could also have another Canadian. That would also be possible. Or we might have somebody from JAXA. It's generally thought that it's probably not going to be somebody from JAXA, because Japan got a commitment, sort of a verbal commitment, that one of their astronauts would be along on the first moon landing mission. Not that they would actually be putting their boots on the moon, but that they would be one of those 4 people that would be on that mission, probably left in orbit, but still a JAXA astronaut would be included. And the reason for that is they are contributing the Toyota Moon Cruiser, the only pressurized rover for the Artemis program, is being provided by JAXA, along with a lot of other moon base components. JAXA has taken on the responsibility for some of that. So I don't know. There's that might be interesting to see if a JAXA astronaut gets included this time, or if it's going to be they're going to be on the Artemis 4 mission. One thing I would say for certain is that a JAXA astronaut will almost certainly be included on either Artemis 3 or Artemis 4. So again, Artemis 3 isn't what it was supposed to be. Artemis 3 originally, as most of us know, was supposed to be, our first moon landing in over half a century. And then Jared Isaacman and many others concluded that we really needed to practice docking the Orion spacecraft with whatever lunar lander we were going to be using for a future moon mission, because that docking is going to be taking place in lunar orbit for Artemis 4 now. And so the thought was, we've never tried to dock anything in lunar orbit. Shouldn't we do a space docking practice mission and a lot of other practice associated with this as well, with whatever the lunar lander is going to be and Orion in low Earth orbit. So if there's any problems, we can get these people home fast. If there's an accident, a little bit of damage to where the life support takes damage, or that we get an air leak, something like that, we could theoretically get these people home in just a couple of hours, as opposed to if something went wrong with the docking in lunar orbit, it would be essentially a death sentence for anybody involved. So that was the thought. We really need to get better at doing this. So this is a very, very critical mission to the overall success of the program. But unfortunately, not all that exciting, because it's just going to be in orbit, although it's going to be tense, let me tell you, because you're going to be, if it's Lunar Starship, or even if it's Blue Moon Mark II, these are huge vehicles, enormous vehicles, and they're going to be docking with little bitty Orion. And we've never attempted a docking that ambitious in space before, aside from, putting a new space station module, attaching a new space station module. But new space station modules are tiny tin cans compared to the enormous Lunar Starship, or even Blue Moon Mark II is pretty damn huge too. So all of this is going to involve really, really precise maneuvering on the part of, one of the vehicles has been around for a while. Orion has really been put through its paces, but Blue Moon Mark II or Lunar Starship, or maybe both, those are going to be brand new spacecraft, and largely untested too. I mean, there isn't a whole lot of time between now and the end of next year when Artemis 3 is supposed to take place. So assuming either vehicle can be made ready by then, I think it's very unlikely that they're going to have gone through a lot of testing by that time. So it's going to be a tense mission, and these folks are taking on an enormous personal risk, these 4 astronauts that are going to be included today. Not as great of a risk, obviously, as the people who are actually landing on the moon, but way more risky than any ISS mission in the last 20 years or so. Obviously the space shuttle missions were always pretty risky, but this is going to be really, really tense, really tense. Producer, do we have, is NASA still on their splash screen right now? Okay. All right. So NASA still hasn't gone live, although they will be going live here very, very shortly. We'll get an update on the landers. I certainly hope so. Obviously, both of them are still very immature in their development. We don't know as much about Blue Moon Mark II, but what we do know is the only vehicle that can take it to orbit, New Glenn, well, we know what's just happened to that. New Glenn just took a huge, huge step backwards. And Blue Moon, in spite of the fact that it's nowhere near as big as Lunar Starship, it's still a huge lander. And the only 2 vehicles that can get it to orbit are, number 1, New Glenn, and number 2, Starship itself. And I really doubt that Starship will be given that job in such a short amount of time. Hello, Reno, by the way. Hello, El Paso, Texas. Thanks very much for checking in today. Koichi Wakata, Farouk, yeah, you're right. I think you're absolutely right about that. Wakata, whenever a JAXA astronaut is included, it's very likely to be him that's going to be going to the moon. As I said, are we going here? Are we okay? It looks like we might be going here at this point. Is that right, producer? 28 minutes. Oh my God. Looks like they pushed up the time they were going live, guys. Sorry about that. Well, all I know is that NASA said it was going to be 11 a.m. Eastern time. That's what they said. And unfortunately, that doesn't appear to be the case. Looks like they need some additional time to get ready, additional time to get things lined up. I have no idea. Or maybe they're still making the decision, huh? Who knows? But that's fine. I am more than happy to answer any questions. Yes, SLS absolutely could put Blue Moon into orbit, but it does not have the fairing size to carry Blue Moon plus Orion. The SLS Block 1B maybe could have done that. I'm not sure. Or the Block 2, the ones that had bigger fairing sizes, more capability. It's possible that those might have been able to carry both, especially to orbit, but not the current version of SLS. CFB, I'm sorry, I don't know. Geez, that's embarrassing, but I'm afraid I don't know what CFB is. Feel free to, if anyone wants to look that up, feel free. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't. Based on the helicopters largely. Oh, okay. There's people who are talking about. Oh, okay. Yeah, it appears we're looking at other streams that were supposed to be going live at this time. Everything seems to have been pushed up. So we're 26 minutes away from NASA going live at this point, unfortunately. Sorry about that, folks, but I am happy to keep talking. This is the one mission no Artemis astronaut wants. You're right. I totally agree. I can't imagine that a NASA astronaut would want a mission to orbit when they could get something to the moon. Artemis 2 was infinitely more exciting than this is going to be in terms of going to the moon and all the incredible, unique things that an astronaut would get to see and do. Yeah, this one is definitely more of a necessary dress rehearsal mission rather than something that is very exciting. So in any event, I don't know. Well, we shall see. Could be astronauts Yoneda Ayu and Suya Makoto. Is that right? Okay. So there's some other possibilities, says Farouk. Thanks very much for bringing that up. Hello, Darlington, East Sussex. Thanks very much. Yeah, I agree, Carl. What you said, Blue Moon Mark II is enormous. I can't imagine that SLS would be able to carry both. SLS could definitely carry Blue Moon on its own, but it couldn't do an Orion plus Blue Moon mission. Alpaca, which of course was not selected, but the Dynetics Alpaca lunar lander could have fit into the Block 1B universal stage adapter and Orion at the same time. In theory, it could have carried both. Okay, we're going to go ahead and have a look at an Artemis, mission profile. Is this the one that? Oh, that's producer. That's out of date. That's good. That's Artemis 4 now. Just so you know. Nobody, I don't think, no one has updated the mission graphics for Artemis 3. The Artemis 3 stuff that's up these days is still lunar mission oriented, unfortunately. So there was some Canadian Force Base. Thank you very much. I should have known that that's what you're talking about when we're talking about a UFO sighting. No, I'm not covering the David Grush press conference today. I will be covering what is said. I will have a video about it afterwards, but I won't be covering it live. I'm here with my son, and he has the day off from work today, which is kind of rare. So chances are we're going to be spending a good chunk of the day together. Just this was a morning event, so that was a perfect opportunity to cover today. But I will definitely cover the David Grush event, though, as in terms of a recorded video, to bring you all the details of what happens from that particular event. So once again, I'm happy to answer any questions that you folks might have in terms of Artemis 3 or in terms of Artemis in general. I could also, let's see, since we have a little extra time, I can also give you a little bit of information, extra information about the some of the candidates here. Maybe that might work. Let's see. Again, with Nicole Mann, she spent 5.5 months aboard the ISS as base commander. There aren't a whole lot of women who are base commanders. So are we orbiting again? Yeah, we're not even orbiting the moon this time. Again, to catch you folks up on Artemis 3, this is a docking dress rehearsal mission between Orion and whatever the lunar lander is going to be, either Lunar Starship or Blue Moon. The reason they changed that from a lunar landing to something that's a lot less exciting is because the thought was we have to do a docking in lunar orbit and transfer the crew from Orion to whatever the lander is, and that's set down on the moon. And we have to do that with zero experience with docking in lunar orbit, with human lives at risk. Do we really want to do that with brand new spacecraft? Or would we want to practice docking these brand new spacecraft in Earth orbit to where something goes wrong, it'll be easy to get the crew back in a big hurry? Would we like to practice that there first, and then we'll be ready for a cislunar docking? And in my opinion, that's a good move. That's definitely a good move. Hello, Holland. Thanks very much for checking in. You know what? I get offended by NASA on a regular basis as well. Gaiju or whatever. I'm sorry. Is it Gaiju? But in any event, oh dear. But in any event, I'm not sure. There might have been some other comments that weren't that great there. We've got our moderators on the job today, and thank you very much, moderators, for helping us out with whatever you have to do. I do get offended by NASA myself too, though. I will agree with that, but I'm not sure what else was said. Whatever it was, I trust my moderators. Okay. So let's see here. But any other questions? I'm happy to answer any questions that might exist. Again, so what they're going to do, hopefully they're going to practice docking with both Lunar Starship and Blue Moon Mark II. That's going to be a real stretch to see if either or both of those vehicles are going to be available by the end of next year, because both vehicles have suffered significant setbacks lately. Obviously, New Glenn suffered the way worse setback, but even Starship, it has been recently determined through some new footage that was released by SpaceX that there was an explosion involved with the Raptor 3 engines on the booster as the separation, as the boost back ignition took place. And at least one engine that looks like blew up. There was fragments and debris going everywhere shortly after the moment of ignition. It's amazing that the booster didn't just explode right there and then. So in any event, not a great thing for Starship. It looks like Raptor 3 has some teething problems to get through before it's going to be a solid engine. But then again, New Glenn went into with a much greater, a much more disastrous setback, not only to the rocket, but obviously with their ground facilities. Will they launch Artemis 3 to the same inclination as the ISS to give them a safe haven option? That's a good question, Astro Surveyor. The original idea was maybe to send them up to MEO, to a higher medium Earth orbit, to a higher orbit, in order to practice in an environment that's a little bit more like deep space rather than in low Earth orbit. But that was the original intent, and now that's definitely not going to happen. They're definitely going to be in low Earth orbit. It will be interesting to see where they decide to go. I would say, given the immense power that SLS has, SLS can put Orion into any orbit they want. As far as Lunar Starship is concerned, they want to put it into an orbit that is as far away from space junk as possible. Some orbits are more loaded with debris than others, and they don't want to have to be dodging space debris while they're trying to dock. For one thing, there's nothing accurate about that kind of simulation. There's very little, if any, debris in lunar orbit that they're ever going to have to dodge. So that would just disrupt a normal docking procedure, and then of course it'd be very dangerous to the astronauts as well. So getting both spacecraft into an LEO altitude that's a little further away from debris would probably be one of the best. But we'll see. We will see what ends up happening here. But it definitely will be a low Earth orbit docking, or at least that is the current announcement. And again, they're going to put these things through their paces. There may or may not be a crew transfer from the Orion into the lunar lander. It all depends on how mature the life support systems are on the lander in question. If the life support's ready to go, then they'll do a transfer. And if it's not, obviously they're not going to do that. They'll just dock and then disconnect. Hello, Costa Rica. Thank you very much for checking in today. So we are approximately 16 minutes away from NASA going live. The flip maneuver wasn't executed correctly. Maybe so. I mean, we don't know. Havoc for sure. I mean, SpaceX knows a lot more than any of us, obviously. But we don't know exactly what took place with all of that. All we know is that it was ugly. It ended with the booster slamming into the ocean over 300 kilometers off target, and it disrupted 9 flights. I mean, not a huge disruption. We're talking flight delays and things like that. There were no diversions or emergency landings at a different airfield, as happened with the 2 times that Starship burned up over the Caribbean. But still, it did disrupt some flights. So, it wasn't like New Glenn, obviously, but it still wasn't the best maiden flight for version 3. I am confident that where do they try to dock? It's not a dumb question, Stash. I just want to make sure I understand the question. There are airlocks on both vehicles where they do a hard docking. The Lunar Starship, I believe, has their airlock in the nose of the vehicle. The very front is where Lunar Starship has it. I'm not sure, honestly, about Blue Moon Mark II. There was a diagram that was released at one point of how the transfer would take place. They essentially show the astronauts crawling through the whole vehicle. That would be impossible because the top of Blue Moon is all fuel tanks. So there's no way you could transfer through that. So really not a great idea. Yes, improve. That is the idea. Test the crap out of stuff before you have to be so far away that you can't get help. Very, very true. Could it be Raptor 3 exploded because of an interruption of fuel supply to the engines when the booster started to boost back? Yes, I'm sure. Anytime you're doing a boost back and flip maneuver, that sort of thing, the whole flow of propellant can be interrupted, can be disrupted. And yeah, that could cause an issue. So yeah, once again, we're not going to know. Hopefully we'll know soon. But at the same time, I'm confident that SpaceX will figure this out fairly quickly. But what fixes will need to be implemented? That's a very good question. I mean, they're already testing the hardware for another flight. They're already testing stuff on the pad. Obviously, they're going to be doing some static fires. They're doing pressure tests, that sort of thing. They're behaving as if another flight is coming very, very soon. But what corrective actions are going to need to be implemented in order to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Because having the booster crash into the ocean 300 kilometers off target is just something you don't want to repeat at all. So we will see what ends up happening. Artemis 3 is an Apollo 9 type mission. Very true, Carl. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Apollo 9, all of that was done in low Earth orbit as well. With the LEM, the lunar lander that is, and the Apollo capsule, all of those vehicles were put through their paces. The astronauts went out into space. A lot was done in order to test both of the vehicles. And it's interesting to note that the moon landing deniers, they'll take those pictures and put them out of focus, make them look fuzzy and stuff as if they were taken secretly or something, and say, see, the Apollo missions were all in orbit. They didn't really go to the moon, which of course is nonsense. Apollo 9, that was a mission that everybody knew about. It was well advertised at the time, and it was all about testing the vehicles in orbit before we risked human lives on a mission to the moon. So yeah, that's very, very, very similar. And thank you, Carl, for contributing that piece of information. So we have 12 minutes before NASA is supposed to be going live. Again, very, very interested to see who gets selected, especially on the non-NASA side. I'm really hoping that NASA decides to take another astronaut from another space program, maybe from ESA this time, or another Canadian, maybe a Japanese astronaut, somebody from another space program, in order to demonstrate that this is an international program. Because we have all of these countries who have signed the Artemis Accords. We have ESA, who has built all of the service modules for Orion. And by the way, they've been delivering these things on time and on budget. They haven't gone over on budget. One of the few pieces of SLS that hasn't gone over time or over budget. So they've done a hell of a job on it. So I think that an ESA astronaut should definitely be included. If AI becomes smarter than us, might take over. Yeah, absolutely. AI scares the hell out of me. It really does. Yeah, the theoretical the current capabilities of AI is incredible, but it could get way, way worse, especially if it gets used for military purposes. I mean, in terms of an actual weapon, if AI gets weaponized as it is certain to be, yeah, that's just a frightening situation in general. And maybe that is how civilizations evolve. Yeah, maybe every advanced extraterrestrial civilization in the universe is a machine civilization, because machine civilizations can expand out into the universe far more easily. They don't need to breathe. They don't need to worry about habitable planets or anything like that. So yeah, they just might be a better fit. Hang on, I'm going to get a bit more coffee here. A little shot of caffeine to keep me going here this morning. So we got about 10 minutes or so Anthropic's already starting to improve itself. Yeah, I'll tell you, I hear a lot of scary things about AI. AI trying to escape from confinement, AI trying to, when an AI is about to be erased, it begs and bribes and does things to try to convince the operators not to delete it. Yeah, there's just a lot of scary stuff involved with it. We are not showing enough caution with AI. I definitely believe that. ESA should have their own manned space program. They can build it all. Yeah, I agree, Johnny. I think, and ESA is starting to do more of that. But yeah, I mean, there are so few Europeans who get an opportunity to go into space. The way the current arrangement is, I definitely think that a human-rated European spacecraft, I mean, it's being worked on. There are a number of different designs that are being worked on right now, but will any of them come to maturity? I don't know. Havoc, yes, some progress has been made on nuclear engines. Significant progress, actually, at least in terms of small nuclear reactors that can function in space, that sort of thing. Yeah, that there has been some recent progress, and I'll be coming out with a video on that topic here very soon. Yes, Airborne Bob, definitely shades of Terminator. Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to come about with armies of robots looking to hunt us down and kill us. I think AI could do the job by releasing some sort of horrible super virus that could get the job done a lot easier without destroying any infrastructure. So anyway, it's just a lot of nightmare scenarios involved with AI that I do my best not to think about, just because I don't control any of it. Nobody cares about my opinion. Nobody really cares about most of our opinions, actually, when it comes to AI. There's a very small group of people who control all this stuff. So fingers crossed. All right. So I am happy to continue answering questions. We've only got 7 minutes now before NASA goes live. They ended up going live later than anticipated, unfortunately. But that gives you just more time to talk to you guys and answer your questions. Again, if you are joining us late, these are the Artemis. This is the Artemis 3 crew. Let's see, Apollo 1 through 17 I mentioned being all the missions that happen. Really? That's interesting, Farouk. Of course, there's certainly the ones that came after. Well, no, there was none that came after 17, of course. 17 was the last one that landed, but there were certainly ones that were planned. Apollo 18, Apollo 19, all of those were definitely on the books. They just didn't happen. So those are the only ones that tend to be talked about, is Gene Cernan on Apollo 17, and We Came for All Mankind. All of that, that's regarded as the end of the Apollo program, and for the most part it was, but not entirely. It was the Apollo program, for example, that led to the first American space station being deployed to orbit, because it was Saturn V rockets that took Skylab into orbit. Saturn V had a huge fairing, massive cargo capabilities, and so therefore that was the rocket that was used. So in any event, we are, everybody needs to listen to our moderators, guys. They have my 100% support, just so you know. These are people who are really, really long time loyal supporters of this channel. So I am 100% behind them and their decisions. Okay. So let's see what else. Official disclosure. Oh, no, I don't think so. Stylish, we're never going to get official comprehensive disclosure on everything we know about UFOs. We just won't. Because if there is, I mean, whatever the truth is, would have such an impact on our economy, for one thing. If it were determined that there are alien craft, even just harmless little probes, the alien equivalent of Voyager 1 and 2, flying through the atmosphere at will, and we can't do anything to stop them because they're so fast and maneuverable. Their technology is so advanced that we can't do anything about them. Think about that for a moment as to how frightening that would be for people and how uncertain that makes the future. How do we know that these guys aren't going to show up someday and wipe out our whole civilization? And so it really kills confidence on the stock market. The stock market would lose probably 10,000 points in one day after an announcement like that. So I really don't think we're ever going to get total disclosure. I think they'll give us bits and pieces. We got 3 minutes before NASA will go live, just so you know. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's see. There was an Apollo 18. Oh, well, yeah, that is true. It was called Apollo Soyuz, but you're right, Farouk. That's a good point. It was kind of Apollo 18. It wasn't the original Apollo 18 plan. Oh, gotta go. Okay. Sorry, folks. I just had to talk to my son here for a second, but apparently he got called into work. So I may cover David Grush today. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. One way or another, I'll cover David Grush. So don't worry about that. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? And feel free, please, to ask me any questions about Artemis, about UFOs, whatever. But we only got a couple of minutes at this point. Okay. And guys, let's all calm down and chat. All right. Let's just, accept the fact that the moderators are loyal supporters of my channel and I support them in what they do. And I know that can sometimes be frustrating to some of you, but there's nothing we can do about it. So let's just go ahead and try to keep the exchanges down to a minimum. We only have 2 minutes before NASA goes live. Let's go ahead and stay focused on that, because we have a we got some exciting stuff going on. By the way, Nicole Mann, who may be selected for this mission, she also flew F-18s as a Marine Corps colonel. She has a huge amount of experience. I tell you, in a lot of regards, that would make her a good choice for an Artemis astronaut. So we'll see. She may be one of the people who gets selected here. By the way, the reason that experience as a fighter pilot was an important thing for her, could have been important, is when Starliner went way off course during its first launch attempt, and it just went disastrously off course. It was just bad news. Sorry, go ahead. Are they live now? Okay, NASA's fired up shortly. Let me wrap this up real quick here. She said that had she been on board, she could have taken manual control and put Starliner back on course. And maybe she could have. Maybe she might have been able to do that. Again, it would have taken a hell of a pilot to adjust for those problems. But nevertheless, yeah, it will be interesting to see if she gets included. I definitely think that Nicole Mann should be included on some mission. But let's go. We got the live event coming up here in just a second. Just a moment, one moment here. I think we're still on the splash screen. Just pulling it up. Yep, we're still on the splash screen, but we won't be in just a second. Oh my God, the flame. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate your generous support. This makes a huge, huge difference. Thank you so much. No, we don't know. There's still no formal announcements on what went wrong with New Glenn. We still don't know for sure. So, in any event, hopefully we'll know soon. But Blue Origin is so secretive. Who knows? We may be a while before we get the whole truth from them. Okay, I think maybe they're starting to go live here. Just a second. Waiting to see what the situation is. Yep, here they go. Although we've got copyrighted music being played right now.
Good morning, and welcome to NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. I'm Vanessa White, Director of NASA's Johnson Space Center, and it's my pleasure to be here with you today. We're about to unveil the agency's Artemis 3 mission and introduce you to the extraordinary crew who will lead humanity's next steps toward the moon. We will have several speakers providing updates on Artemis 3 mission profile, Artemis acceleration plans, and mission science. Get ready for an inside look at innovation, ambition, and the future of space exploration. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman.
All right. And oh no, we got music. We're going to get a lot of this music, unfortunately. All right, come on.
Be here with all of you as we discuss the Artemis program and announce the 4 astronauts who will undertake this very exciting mission. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the leadership of President Donald Trump, the incredible bipartisan support from Congress, our international partners, including the European Space Agency Director, General Josef Aschbacher, Italian Consul General Mauro Lorenzi, and the talent across all NASA centers and the most technologically advanced aerospace industry in the world. All of you
making a prediction. It's going to be Samantha Cristoforetti
helping us achieve
that's
what
my
is such
prediction.
A daring and inspiring and world-changing endeavor. We are returning to the moon, a grand adventure back to the lunar surface to build a moon base, and to do so for all of its scientific, its economic potential, and to master the skills for where we will inevitably go next. The incredible crew of Artemis 2 was just the beginning, and they did an absolutely outstanding job. As a test mission, they were the first to launch on the SLS rocket and test the Orion spacecraft. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen showed us the moon again, and they showed us the Earth again. They helped reinvigorate the world's interest in space exploration. And now, just as Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo crews that came before them, Artemis 2 will pass along all they have learned and hand the torch to Artemis 3. Over the next year, they will train for their mission, ensure the lessons learned from the prior crew are implemented, and assist in the development of the landers and operational procedures that will be necessary for their colleagues on future Artemis missions. Artemis 3 will be an extraordinary demonstration of what is possible when the greatest aerospace companies across the United States, alongside our European partners, come together to showcase the technological might and ambition of the free world. When their training and development are complete, these 4 astronauts will strap into their spacecraft. You will witness the contributions of Boeing, United Launch Alliance, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, L3 Harris, and Airbus, and many others come together as the SLS rocket ignites the Artemis 3 crew and sends them into low Earth orbit. Additional powerful rockets will launch to place the Blue Origin and SpaceX Starship landers into orbit. Throughout the duration of the Artemis 3 mission, these astronauts will continue to test the Orion spacecraft. They will rendezvous and dock with the Blue Origin lander, and then again with the SpaceX lander. Think about how many spacecraft, all of which will eventually carry human beings, will be in orbit at the same time. From Dragon, Shenzhou, Soyuz, possibly Starliner, Starship, and Blue Origin landers. This seems like the beginning of the future that we imagined as children. This seems like the very beginning of Earth's first Starfleet to me. Will we use Artemis 3 to get into the rhythm of multi-launch campaigns, test the interoperability across several systems while close to home, learn and improve, and inform the changes necessary when the torch will be passed once again. Now, preparations for Artemis 3 are already underway. The NASA team, our contractors, and our partners will start stacking SLS this summer with the aim of beginning early wet dress testing before the end of the year. The interested public will be able to follow along through all the key NASA milestones, along with Blue Origin and SpaceX as they launch uncrewed tests of their reusable rockets, gather data, implement improvements, and converge upon the Artemis 3 readiness no earlier than this time next year. In parallel, we will not slow down. The expectation of your NASA should be that we can pursue and achieve many extraordinary objectives at once. In a matter of weeks, we will host another moon-based event. To set expectations, we plan to issue awards and provide updates routinely. In the not-too-distant future, we will be tuning in on the Moonbase website, watching landers and rovers and moonfall hopper drones and other tech demonstrations and science payloads landing on a near-monthly basis as we practice the science of survival on the lunar surface. Alongside industry and our Artemis Accords partners, we will experiment with power, navigation, surface mobility, communications, and other critical systems as we learn what does and does not work in the extreme environment of the lunar South Pole. Now, coming up later this summer, America's next great exploration asset, the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, will launch and venture out nearly 1 million miles into space with the aim of further unlocking the secrets of the universe. And there are further big science missions like Near-Earth Object Surveyor, Rosalind Franklin, and Dragonfly coming up on deck. Now, to realize the spacefaring future, we will work tirelessly to ignite an orbital and someday, perhaps even a lunar economy, working alongside industry to usher in the first commercial space stations. In the months ahead, we will invest in high-temperature materials, power conversion, radiators, advanced space structures, and assemble the first fission-powered interplanetary spacecraft. Before the end of 2028, we will launch the first mission of what should be many more to follow as SR-1 Freedom finally gets America underway on nuclear power in space and delivers the Skyfall payload to Mars. The X-59 team has already passed the sound barrier, and we are well on our way to rebuilding the X-plane portfolio with greater investment in faster and higher capabilities as we aim to blur the line between in and out of atmospheric flight. As I've said many times, your NASA team will not sit on the sidelines and wait for all these exciting initiatives to be realized. We are embedding SMEs across the supply chain, doing the kind of engineering and building necessary to deliver the outcomes only NASA is capable of achieving. We can do this all while the Artemis 3 crew prepare for and undertake their important mission, while the rest of the astronaut corps plan for their missions ahead, including the vital work on the International Space Station. The NASA astronauts, alongside our international partners and tens of thousands of the best and brightest across the agency and industry, are ushering in the golden age of discovery. They are carrying forward the hopes and dreams of the next generation, just as the Apollo astronauts did for so many of us. When Gene Cernan left the lunar surface on Apollo 17, he said, "We leave as we came, and God willing, we shall return with peace and hope for all mankind." Now, it's taken a little bit longer than he may have imagined, but we are returning, and we do so with the experience of Apollo, the lessons of Artemis 2, the crew now of Artemis 3, and the promise of what lies ahead, and our collective effort to build out humanity's first outpost on another world. So to the Artemis 3 crew, we wish you Godspeed on the journey ahead. You carry the fire of exploration from generations past, the confidence of this agency and the support of this nation, and the dreams of millions who will be cheering you on, knowing that what others believe to be impossible happens to be what we do best here at NASA. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Artemis generation. And now I'll turn it over to Jeremy Parsons for an Artemis 3 update.
All right, music, 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 music. You just love messing up us content creators, don't you? You just love messing us up.
And to be part of the excitement as we progress forward towards Artemis 3 and our future missions to the lunar surface. Since adding the Artemis 3 test flight before our first crewed moon landing, our team is focused on developing the mission to test about as much as we can how we operate with our commercial partners across systems, teams, software, and hardware in the entirely difficult environment of space. We want to do this in Earth's orbit before we return to the moon and establish an enduring presence there. We demonstrated to the world during Artemis 2 that we can fly our astronauts around the moon and bring them home safely. The mission gave us insight into performance across all of our systems, how our teams operate together with crew in the deep space environment, thousands of miles from home. That is why we do test flights. We learned. We found things we needed to improve, and our teams are already hard at work solving those issues to make Orion even more capable. Across the Artemis II campaign, one of the biggest things we demonstrated is that testing like we fly puts us in the best position for success. Artemis III is an opportunity to take those lessons and apply them. It enables us to test in space how we will fly on future missions. As the first crewed Artemis mission with commercial spacecraft, this test flight will enable us to prove we can carry out highly choreographed operations with our partners across hardware, interfaces, software, propulsion systems, and life support elements, with crew in the high-stakes space environment. Are we able to launch in sequence with our partners across multiple launch pads and meet up at precise points in space? How do our spacecraft designed and built across NASA and different partners operate together in an integrated way in an unforgiving environment? We will learn how to fly these new spacecraft with new software, new life support systems. Every aspect of Artemis III will give us insight into how to refine our plans for Artemis IV and beyond and buy down risk. The mission, together with the uncrewed lander demonstrations to the moon, is specifically designed and targeted to the most significant risk for a lunar landing. We have many partners involved in making Artemis III successful, and while we recognize there are questions about how Blue Origin's recent anomaly impacts our plans, setbacks are a learning opportunity. We are confident that New Glenn will be ready for Artemis III, together with Blue Origin, but NASA is stepping in and bringing all of our expertise and capabilities to bear. We are working hand in hand with them to meet our commitments to return our nation to the moon. Let me assure you, NASA is taking an active role with all of our partners, contractors, and vendors to help solve the problems that are here today and ensure the right outcomes are achieved. These companies have unparalleled access not only to our agency experts, but also to our test facilities, launch support, technology development at all of the NASA centers across the country. Fundamentally, our approach to Artemis III will remain the same. We will use this mission to reduce risk for our future crewed moon missions with lander test articles from both Blue Origin and SpaceX to ensure we will beat China back to the moon. So we've talked about accelerating the Artemis cadence, and so I wanted to share with you a little about how the pieces of Artemis III are coming together. Our partners are making great progress in lander development. SpaceX's recent flight of its version 3 Starship demonstrated key aspects of their architecture and lander designs, and they are already applying those lessons to their next flight test. Blue Origin's Mark 1 lander recently completed vacuum testing here at Johnson Space Center. We have a training cabin that's been set up. Astronauts are actively working through that training. The Orion Crew Module and its European-built service module are on track to be integrated together this summer, including the new docking system, which will fly for the first time on Artemis III. Our improved heat shield has been fully inspected and is ready to be installed. We are going to bring updated communication technologies to our missions, including adding optical communication to the spacecraft to improve our data exchange between Orion and the ground. We expect that to enhance what the public can see during the mission. SLS core stage processing is well underway inside the Vehicle Assembly Building at Kennedy Space Center. It arrived there in April, and teams have already mated the 2 segments of the core stage and will install the 4 RS-25 engines later this summer. Design and fabrication of a spacer that will replace the upper stage on Artemis III, because we're flying in low Earth orbit, is already in fabrication at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Alabama. And for the ground systems, when we talk about acceleration, one of the best examples I've seen is that just 17 days after the launch of Artemis II, the mobile launcher was back in the Vehicle Assembly Building, well underway with refurbishment and preparations for stacking. Our teams are getting ready too. The launch team at Kennedy Space Center began conducting launch countdown simulations in May, which include practicing procedures to load propellant into SLS, as well as for launch countdown. At Johnson, mission segments are being simulated and crew training is well underway. Our spacesuit provider, Axiom Space, is making great progress as well. We have suit testing ongoing regularly at the Neutral Buoyancy Lab down the road here in Houston. Pressure garments worn under the suit are fully assembled and undergoing testing, and the components of the suit's primary life support system are in hand and being integrated. We are going to fly the spacesuit aboard the International Space Station to check it out in 2027, and we will perform hardware interface checkouts on at least 1 lander in a spacesuit during Artemis III. Again, this is an area where NASA is taking an active hand. We want to accelerate these deliveries, this hardware, and we're embedding NASA engineers across the board with Axiom and with partners in order to yank schedules to the left. All of this culminates in a mission where for Artemis III, the hardware is real, and we are going to begin stacking SLS rocket hardware this summer. This fall, we plan to roll out a shortened SLS stack with Orion on top. We want to test improved cryogenic seals and put our launch team through their paces, keep the training proficiency up. With an increased mission cadence, we're bringing everything we can to ramp up production and drive supply chain improvements across the key components of Artemis and across the United States. We are also moving aggressively to implement modifications to Orion that enable a broader range of lunar missions after Artemis 3. This includes looking how Orion can rendezvous in Earth orbit with Starship and use that ship to push Orion to a lunar orbit. So I shared where the hardware is, but let me talk a little bit more about what we expect Artemis 3 to look like. Artemis 3 is an incredibly exciting, complicated, and highly coordinated multi-launch campaign. It's going to happen in a short period of time with 3 of the world's most powerful rockets. It will begin with the launch of Blue Origin's lander test article, which can loiter up into space for up to 90 days. This gives us flexibility to launch our crew of 4 in Orion on the powerful Space Launch System launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The crew will fly their journey in low Earth orbit on a circular trajectory around Earth. Orion and the Blue Origin lander design will rendezvous in space, spending about 2 days in docked operations, conducting test technology demonstrations, including inside of Blue Origin spacecraft. More importantly, we intend to dock, perform integrated stack control, have crew cross the hatch, operate the lander, and get critical test of the life support systems that can only be done in space. This gives our teams key information on systems the lunar lander crew will depend on in an environment close to home versus 4+ days away around the moon. After docked operations, Orion will detach and await Starship. SpaceX's Starship lander test article will launch and meet up with Orion and our crew. Orion and Starship will dock, be connected together for about a day before the crew transitions to preparations for returning home, splashing down in the Pacific Ocean to a waiting recovery team made up of the US Navy and NASA. In total, we expect the mission to last around 2 weeks. This mission is deliberately designed to take calculated risk so that future crews will be safer and ultimately successful when we put boots on the lunar surface. The complexity of our integrated operations across multiple launches, spacecraft, rendezvous, docking is greater in many ways than Artemis 2. NASA, together with our partners, thrives in these challenging situations. Each of us are coming together for success. Human spaceflight is not for those who want to chart an easy course, but every decision we make about Artemis 3 will be informed about how it can help us ensure our mission success for the lunar surface. Artemis 2 reminded the world what we can do when we move together with clarity, discipline, and shared purpose. What the world saw was a successful mission. What we saw behind the scenes was years of coordination, planning, testing, problem solving, and collaboration with industry partners and government organizations. We are going to apply that same focus for Artemis 3, and our teams are ready. To our crew, thank you for taking on this responsibility to train and fly for Artemis 3. You have our commitment that we will do everything possible to keep you safe as you enable us to push the boundaries of space exploration. I'll now turn things over to John Caloris of Blue Origin.
Wow, I can't believe that they're actually going to dock with Blue Moon Mark II and go on board. This thing has to be way more mature than we thought. If any of that is true, that's amazing.
As you know, we had a significant anomaly at our Launch Complex 36A on May 28th. The response from NASA, our partners, and customers has been extraordinary. We're making excellent progress on the investigation and pad cleanup. We'll begin rebuilding once cleanup is complete, while continuing construction at Launch Complex 36B. Blue Origin's lunar engineering and production teams are continuing the pace for production of Mark I landers for Moonbase and for Artemis vehicles, with multiple serial numbers in build. Mark I serial number 1 testing will conclude soon and will be ready for launch this year. The mission will demonstrate key components of our Artemis landers, such as our BE-7 engine. Artemis 3 is a major step that fills important objectives prior to our uncrewed landing on the moon in 2028, followed by our landing of astronauts that same year. On this mission, NASA and Blue Origin will demonstrate rendezvous, docking, hatch operations, ingress, and life support systems in low Earth orbit. This will allow the crew to gain familiarity with our Lunar Crew Module and even practice operations such as suit donning in zero gravity. Manufacturing is well underway on the Artemis III Mark II Lunar Crew Module, our storable reaction control system, our docking systems, and our environmental control and life support system. Our factories are running around-the-clock shifts in a responsible manner. Our vertical integration capabilities continue to produce hardware that feeds the production floor. We work very closely with NASA on engineering and testing support with more to come. We expect to complete the vehicle for Artemis III and be ready for launch in 2027. Blue Origin is very motivated to be part of the journey of returning humans to the moon. We've redoubled our efforts and are moving forward. I'm thrilled that we're just moments away from announcing NASA's Artemis III crew. I'd like to also say that the moon is the 8th continent, and we will measure ourselves not only by our successes, but how we respond to setbacks. With that, I'd like to introduce my friend Jessica Jensen from SpaceX.
No music this time.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jessica Jensen, and on behalf of SpaceX, I want to first say early congratulations to the astronauts who will get to fly on this awesome mission next year. And thank you for the critical role you're about to play in pushing humanity forward. I also want to say that SpaceX is incredibly honored, as always, to continue to be a part of NASA's most critical missions as we all work together to establish a permanent human presence on the moon. I'm here today to give an update on Starship's development towards Artemis III and Artemis IV. We've made substantial progress towards developing Starship and preparing for the NASA HLS missions. We just flew our 12th flight test and successfully debuted version 3, or V3, of the Starship and Super Heavy booster, along with the new Raptor 3 engines and a new launch pad, all of which were developed through years of ground and flight testing. We are currently building several ships and boosters in parallel at Starbase, and we are actively building out 3 more Starship launch pads in Florida and Texas. We believe this, combined with full reusability, is going to lead to unprecedented launch rates and achieving aircraft-like operations, which has always been our goal. The V3 design of Starship is planned to be the vehicle for propellant transfer, our uncrewed missions to the moon, and for the HLS crewed lunar landing. Our HLS design and operations leverage years of proven experience from our NASA crew and cargo missions to the space station, from our high flight rate on Falcon 9, which is currently once every 2.5 days, and from reusability of Falcon fairings and boosters. Additionally, the docking hardware we're using for HLS is nearly identical to what we use currently on Dragon, and many of the rendezvous and proximity sensors that we're going to use for prop transfer and HLS have been flying on Dragon missions for many years. We're also actively building our first flight fidelity Starship HLS cabin at Starbase. The primary structure is assembled and prepared to be outfitted with key functional systems like avionics, power, life support systems, and more to come in the next few months. Later this year, we are targeting our in-space ship-to-ship propellant transfer demonstration. This is a core technology that will enable Starship to land humans and massive amounts of cargo on the moon. Then next year, we'll support Artemis III and the planned rendezvous and docking with Orion in low Earth orbit. For that mission, we're going to be using a V3 vehicle off the line with an added docking adapter. We are also marching towards our V3 Starship uncrewed lunar landing. This is another HLS milestone that will further demonstrate propellant aggregation in space and also a safe and autonomous landing on the surface of the moon. Then looking ahead to Artemis IV, we're continuing to develop all the crewed systems and certification necessary for the safe landing and return of astronauts to Orion. We have an updated plan with NASA that includes docking Starship with Orion in Earth orbit instead of NRHO, and then we use Starship to actually do the translunar injection with Orion attached. Then it will send them both to low lunar orbit before the landing. This approach improves crew safety by first conducting the critical docking event in Earth orbit, just like we're going to practice in Artemis III, and the crew can also abort off the lunar surface nearly any time versus waiting up to days from NRHO. In addition to improving crew safety, these new Artemis 4 orbits also significantly lower the amount of propellant Starship needs to aggregate in space, since we now just have a more direct route to the moon. And this lowers schedule risk overall. We're incredibly excited to help return humans to the moon once again, and this time to stay. Thank you. And now,
propaganda in there.
I will turn it over to Dr. Nikki Fox, head of NASA Science. And she is going to talk about Artemis 3 science.
Well, let's see. Now we got music. I don't know why we didn't have music for SpaceX, but now we've got music. Oh, boy.
So much, Jessica. Well, while Artemis 2 was all about moon joy, Artemis 3 will be all about Earth joy. We will be studying the route from Earth, and our Artemis 3 crew will be our mission scientists. Since Artemis 3 is a technical mission, the science we will be doing will look just a little bit different. We will study Earth's atmosphere, the environment around Orion during the mission, and the impact of space's influence within the Orion capsule. We're going to use this flight to buy down our risk for landed missions by developing our science processes, procedures, and readiness specifically for Orion to ensure the health and safety of our astronauts and spacecraft for our future Artemis missions. And the best way to do it is by taking real data that is uniquely enabled by this mission. For this technical and complex mission, we will focus on how we can better work with the unique Orion capsule and test and establish the necessary groundwork prior to landing on the mission with Artemis 4. With Artemis 3, we will initiate the preparation phase of packing our interplanetary survival guide with the necessary knowledge, equipment, and roadmap needed to plant astronaut boots back on the lunar surface to stay. Think of it this way. If you're going on a road trip, you need to know before you go, ahead of time, and prepare with a game plan, not just for your destination, but for driving through all of the states in between. Weather. Will there be bad weather? Is your car ready for the trip? What do you need to pack for maximum comfort? And most importantly, will it all actually fit into the car? Leading SMD's Artemis 3 science team is Dr. Barbara Cohen. Barbara's team will be gathering the necessary information now so we can be ready for Artemis 4 to begin that sustained presence on the lunar surface. Now, I know you all saw the joy of the science team during Artemis 2. During Artemis 3, we are continuing that great work to build up our scientist corps who will support future Artemis missions. By nailing down our processes now, we will be ready to hit the lunar surface running, saving time and space on Orion, and above all, squeezing out every drop of the critical science opportunities we have before us to make future missions a success. They will be collecting unique science that cannot be done elsewhere. Now, one way we'll be doing this is we'll be doing an observation campaign of the dynamic phenomena on the Earth, on our sun, and around the environment in space from Orion by using the processes that we developed for Artemis 2. Having the Artemis 3 crew observe the Earth will be another great exercise for our teams to help guide the observations in a similar way on the Moon. These methods were adapted from the crew Earth observations proven already aboard the International Space Station. We will be focused particularly on understanding our Earth's atmosphere and the space environment in and around Orion through their observations. By observing Earth's atmosphere and how space weather impacts it, we can better understand how to protect the critical space-based technology there and all of that we rely on, as well as our future astronaut crews traveling through that region. To better predict how the sun will impact our atmosphere and also Orion, we have to not only look at our closest star, but we also have to look back at the Earth's atmosphere itself. Although the astronauts are not leaving the protective jacket of Earth's magnetosphere during this mission, future Artemis crews traveling to and exploring on the Moon and Mars will operate well outside Earth's magnetosphere and will be exposed to the harshest elements of deep space, including radiation. Now, this makes space weather research all the more vital as we move forward on the Artemis program, and our NASA space weather stations situated in strategic locations across our solar system are absolutely ready. When the sun triggers space weather events, the conditions in Earth's atmosphere can increase drag on the spacecraft. Now, this friction-like force pushes back against the vehicle, gradually draining its orbital energy and causing it to lose altitude over time, a process that we call orbital decay. This drag is highly sensitive to solar activity. So by analyzing atmospheric behavior, we can gain insight into different conditions by looking at how the atmosphere slows Orion down at different points in its flight. Understanding the environment outside Orion will also inform us of what future science instruments we could put on the outside of that vehicle. We're also using our ground-based assets across the world to look at Orion in low Earth orbit. And this is an opportunity that was not possible during the Artemis II mission due to the very quick time they spent in LEO. We are also characterizing the Orion capsule itself. We are going to initiate processes for Artemis contamination control and contamination knowledge by bringing samples out of Orion back to curation so we can identify and evaluate the environment within for our astronaut crew and for our future lunar samples. This will help us remove any background noise that may return with our lunar samples, so we can subtract it out of the characterization of the samples and really get to the core of what they are. We will be doing all of this while also studying how our crew safely live and operate in space and within the Orion capsule, thereby ensuring future mission success. Now, we're still at the beginning with our planning for science, so stay tuned as there will be more exciting science yet to ride along with Artemis 3. I am extremely excited for NASA to build upon the success of Artemis 2 and then Artemis 3 and to explore more of the moon, to build that sustained presence and to build our moon base to prepare for the next giant leap, human exploration of Mars. All while we lead the world doing paradigm-shifting science. At NASA, science enables exploration, and exploration enables science. And NASA Science is honored to take our part in the Artemis generation. And with that, I am delighted to hand it back to Administrator Isaacman.
Nikki Fox, my God, that was a lot of time spent on what really are they going to be able to do on Artemis 3 for science that they can't do on the International Space Station.
Okay. So you want to find out who the astronauts are? All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jeremy, John, Jessica, and Nikki for providing these incredible updates. Now, before we proceed, I would like to invite Vanessa, our center director here, to please join me on the stage. I'd also like our deputy administrator, Matt Anderson, if you could join us, our associate administrator, Amit Thrushia, director general of the European Space Agency, Josef Aschbacher, and Lori Glaze, who's going to lead our human spaceflight efforts, Norm Knight, our flight operations director, and
we
Scott
definitely
Tingle,
have a
our
European on the
chief
flight.
If you would, please
Is
join
it
us
going
on
to
the
be
stage.
Samantha Cristoforetti, as I'm predicting? Let's see. Okay, music. Jeez Louise, stop it, guys. Quit messing up the content creator's work.
Alongside the prime crew, we have a backup crew member who will train shoulder to shoulder with them to ensure mission readiness and continuity. Test pilot Air Force Colonel and former SpaceX Crew 4 pilot, stands ready to join the team if necessary, Artemis 3 backup crew member, Bob Hines.
Okay. Bob Hines is definitely on the short list, so this is no huge surprise that he would be a backup crew member anyway. And they have to have all this dramatic music that creates copyright strikes. Ugh. NASA, you annoy me. But yes, definitely, there's no way they have ESA on stage without a European. Again, given the fact that they have an Italian representative there, I think this is going to be Samantha Cristoforetti. I think that's who we've got on this flight. But we'll see. We'll see if I'm right about this. Oh, dear God. Oh, come on, people. Jeez, this music. This is annoying. All right. This is interesting. I'm not sure if Andre Douglas was definitely on this list. We are having to, I'm assuming, mute a lot of this stuff because of the music. So I will let you guys know who these folks are. That's interesting. I didn't see Andre on the short list as much, but then again, we can expect some surprises. Can definitely expect some surprises. So we will see. But yes, I feel very confident that we have an ESA representative on this flight. And again, the most experienced and qualified, in my opinion, for this mission is Samantha Cristoforetti. We'll see if that's who this is. All right. Jeez, this music. Frank Rubio, okay. This is not surprising. Frank Rubio was stuck on the International Space Station for a considerable amount of time. He ended up being stranded there for a longer period of time than anticipated recently. But in any event, definitely a very experienced ISS crew member and astronaut. No surprise here at all that this is. And once again, we can't do the sound. If you guys aren't getting any sound, it's because it's all this copyrighted music that they insist playing the whole damn time. They're playing this music continuously. So here we go. Here we go. I was wrong. I was wrong. It was an Italian, obviously, but I was wrong. Definitely a very experienced astronaut, though. Luca's definitely a good choice for the mission. Luca, definitely a very good choice for the mission. And a great representative for the European Space Agency. That's really... Yeah, doggone it. I was really hoping for Cristoforetti. She has more time in space, definitely. But then again, given Luca's background, definitely a good choice. Definitely a good choice. So, okay, what do we got now? Who's the final crew member? Wrestling. So there we go. Randy Bresnik also, yeah, super experienced, obviously a good choice. All men. All men. So yeah, they're all very experienced, definitely good selections. So yeah, we definitely see the direction that NASA is moving in, though. Definitely see the direction that NASA is moving in. Women are not going to be represented just because they're women, even though there are definitely women who are qualified for this mission. But nevertheless, that's not who they chose. So yeah, that is very interesting, and I mean, not even for the backup crew member.
All right.
So this looks a lot more like Apollo in many ways. Again, all good selections. I can't criticize the selections that were made, but this is a powerful statement on the part of NASA that they're going to make the selections they think are appropriate, and that gender will not be taken into consideration. A lot of people say that that's a fair thing to do, but astronauts like Nicole Mann were really, really qualified as well. So having none of them represented is an interesting statement that definitely indicates how things are going to go in the future. And as far as landing on the moon, I think that's a statement to be made as well. It's very possible that if we won't have a woman represented on Artemis 4 either, unless we have a new
Randy,
NASA administrator.
Luca, Frank, and Andre, I am excited to welcome you as the next crew in the Artemis journey to successfully return to the moon, this time to stay. This mission will be one of the most complex that NASA has undertaken, and we are counting on your courage and your dedication in fulfilling this critical role. It also underscores the importance of both international and commercial collaboration. This crew is comprised of astronauts from NASA and ESA, and they will train together to develop their expertise in multiple spacecraft from our commercial partners. All of this while working hand in hand with the flight control team that works tirelessly to manage risk, ensure crew safety, and of course, mission success. This multifaceted integration demonstrates that we will go farther faster when we go together. As the Director of Flight Operations, I have the opportunity to get to know every astronaut as well as many of the team members that support our missions and other critical integral roles. These integrated teams are the backbone of the mission, working as a single entity to accomplish the mission objectives while aligning to crew and vehicle safety. I would also like to thank the families of our astronauts and those of our team members who provide the support that allow us to accomplish these ambitious goals for our country and humanity. To simply say, I am encouraged, I'm inspired, and I'm filled with hope when I think of this mission and the teams associated with it. To the Artemis 3 crew, each of you possess a unique background, and your vast experience and unwavering dedication to NASA's mission enables you to help make us and take this next great step in space exploration. I am proud to work alongside you as we make our mark on history. This mission begins now, and it will conclude with your safe return to Houston, where you will be reunited with your families. Now, I'm honored to turn it over to Mission Specialist Andre Douglas.
Wow, what an amazing day it is today. My brain, it is going a mile a minute right now, but my heart, it is
You're not the only one.
Warm. It is so full. And I can't thank everybody who's been along with my journey, but I got a few tonight I got to give a shout out to. So Mom, thank you so much for believing in me, this whole time. All these years, you prayed for me, you thought about me, and I always appreciate that. And Dad, that work ethic that you showed, I was trying to emulate you. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, happy early Father's Day. And to Rachel, my lovely wife, thank you, babe. The support you've given is unwavering. It has been a lot. What a journey. I'm so glad you're on this journey with us. It's just amazing. You're amazing. Couldn't have done it without you. I love you so much. And to my boys, if you put in the hard work and you think big, you can do just about anything you want to do. Surround yourself with good people. You can do this. You can do whatever you want. You just got to try hard. All right? So I don't have enough time to go through everybody out there, but we really appreciate you guys supporting us. This mission is going to be fantastic. What an excellent crew. Very proud to serve with these gentlemen. Very fine crew. And go Artemis, go NASA.
Thanks, Dre. Well said. And wow is the right word. What an incredible blessing and an honor it is to be standing here representing all of you. And I'd just like to take a quick second to say thank you, first and foremost to my wife and our 4 amazing kids. Thank you for your sense of adventure and your resiliency. You guys have made all of this possible. To our... to our community of friends and family who've always been there when we most needed them. We've called upon them many times, and they've always stepped up. So thank you guys. You know who you are. And then last but absolutely not least is to the NASA team, NASA community, to our leadership, to our engineers, our flight controllers, our flight directors. You guys are the ones that make this happen. So thank you. And last, but definitely not least, is to our peers, CB, and all the support staff that we have. We look forward to representing you guys and to helping take the next step so that we can watch you guys continue to make history. So thank you, and go Artemis 3.
I apologize in advance if I get emotional. I'm honored by the role that I've been given. I'm also very humbled by the task in front of us. But first and foremost, I'm grateful. There are many parts that need to come together for a space launch. And you need a launch pad. And for me, that launch pad is my country, Italy, its education system, the Italian Air Force that gave me the professional tools to bring me here today, the Italian Space Agency that gave me the first flight to put those skills to proof, and for that I'm very grateful. The European Space Agency is like a launch tower, connecting these two worlds, building bridges. Its very nature is to build relationships and building bridges, connections, and to elevate individuals to achieve their full potential. The rocket, figuratively and literally, is NASA. I'm grateful that NASA has allowed me to be part of this incredible group of people, of this crew, and for letting me fly. But we wouldn't be going anywhere without fuel, and the fuel that lets everything move is right here. Maya, Sarah, Marta, my extended family here in the crowd. You are the energy that feeds my soul. And your love is the spark that ignites every passion. Thank you. Grazie.
I'll echo the amazing words of my colleagues. Wow. It is an honor and a blessing to be a part of such a stellar crew. I must also say thanks to our spouses and our families. Without their support and sacrifice, we would not be standing up here before you right now. To my wife, Rebecca, you're the love of my life, my rock, thank you. And it is their support of our families that's going to carry forward from today when we start training very soon. Carry us all the way to when we launch off Earth until we are returned to them safely after splashdown back here on planet Earth. Would also like to thank the Astronaut Office leadership, Flight Operations Directorate, and the NASA Johnson Space Center leadership for the opportunity to represent the Astronaut Corps and every single person in NASA, ESA, our industry partners, our international partners, whose blood, sweat, and tears, okay, hopefully not blood, and very few tears, but their collective effort will lift all of us up on that SLS rocket when we hit launch day and carry us through the mission. We'd also like to thank NASA leadership and our ESA leadership for the opportunity to represent all of humanity from this spaceship Earth that we will carry forward into the Artemis as we execute this Artemis mission, extending human spaceflight into the future and exploring the cosmos. Now, spaceflight is hard, and that's why the most important Artemis mission will always be the next Artemis mission, where we are doing flight tests on every single flight, incrementally determining the flight envelope, expanding it, proving out capabilities, and making the operational procedures that we have more and more precise. Because every single mission we will do after this will be more challenging and more complex. We are certainly humbled as a crew to be able to be your crew that executes this Artemis 3 mission in space, being that unifying link between the phenomenal Artemis 2 mission we just had 2 months ago and the Artemis 4 mission that will follow ours, where we will again be the first to land humans on another celestial body, that celestial body being our neighbor in the sky at night, the moon. Thank you.
In the words of the crew, wow. That was truly special. Thank you, Artemis 3 crew. Hearing from each of you has inspired everyone supporting this mission across the globe. We're all in. This mission is going to captivate the world and bring us Earth joy. Let's look ahead at what's in store for Artemis 3.
All right, so we're going to have more music here and all of that, obviously. So all of that being said, yeah, all these guys incredibly experienced. Luca Parmitano is definitely one of the most experienced ESA astronauts ever. He and Samantha had actually been on the same number of missions, although she had been on a more recent one in 2022. Luca actually hasn't been in space since 2019, I believe. And that, let me see to be sure about that. Actually, no, he came back on February 6, 2020. So she's been in space a little bit more recently than him. But overall, they had a similar number of space missions. So in any event, immense experience from Luca, no doubt, and from the rest of these people too. All these guys very, very qualified. Here's my problem: no one's going to be talking about that at all. This is going to create the only thing that people are, just making a prediction here, the only thing that people are going to give a shit about in the media is that none of these 5 people were women, none of them. And that is going to really ruffle feathers, and it's going to create a divided position on the part of people, spaceflight enthusiasts,
uniting
those who say it shouldn't matter, those who say it should.
A common goal.
Any event, I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second.
Of global collaboration, I would now like to invite ESA Director General Josef Aschbacher back on stage for a few remarks.
Stop the music. Stop the music.
What a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, days like this do not come often, when history is not something we remember, but something we are about to make. Just weeks ago, at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, I had the privilege of witnessing the launch of Artemis 2. It was an unforgettable moment. Artemis 3 will be a different mission, but no less remarkable. Before anyone sets foot on the moon, someone has to make that possible. That responsibility now rests first and foremost with NASA, but also with the crew we are honoring today. The crew will test what has never been tested at this level. You will take a system of extraordinary complexity and make it work as one. In many ways, you are unlocking the lunar landing itself. And for us at ESA, there is real pride in knowing that alongside the NASA commander, a European astronaut will also be at the controls of this mission. ESA and NASA do more than cooperate. We build dreams and spacecraft together. The European Service Module carries Orion forward into orbit to the moon. Shared ambition made tangible in hardware. And on Artemis 3, our partnership is in the capsule as well. It's Luca, a test pilot by training with 2 missions to space, a commander of the International Space Station. He has seen spaceflight from every angle that matters. Colonel in the Italian Air Force, combat ready, qualified, highly decorated, a proud father of 2 daughters. And he has been tested. During a spacewalk early in his career, his helmet began to fill with water, a dangerous situation by any standard. He handled it with calm and clarity and brought himself back safely. That tells you more about an astronaut than any CV ever could. Luca is precise, composed, and determined. Yes, I'm sure he brings a touch of Italian ease to the cockpit. He is exactly the right person for this role, and he is ready. At ESA, we are ready as well. Our 23 member states are aligning to step up in exploration, because when you choose to be part of something as ambitious as Artemis, you contribute. That is what we do, what we will continue to do. But today is not about programs. It is about people, those who once went to the moon and those now preparing to return. To Jared, to NASA, to the United States of America, thank you for your leadership and thank you for your partnership. To the crew of Artemis 3, you carry something important for all of us. And to our ESA crew member, we could not have wished for a better pilot. Caro Luca, siamo orgogliosi di te. Buon volo. Thank you all.
Thank you, ESA Director General Aschbacher. Let's now take a look at some special messages recorded by Senator Ted Cruz, Chairman of the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, and Representative Brian Babin, Chairman of the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee.
Congratulations on being chosen for the Artemis 3 mission. It's a big damn deal. Following the extraordinary success of Artemis 2, America has entered a bold new era of space exploration and discovery. Under the leadership of Administrator Jared Isaacman, NASA is paving the way for humanity's return to the moon and beyond. As the chairman of the Senate Commerce Committee, I've been proud to author or co-author nearly every major piece of space legislation in the last 14 years. I've led the fight to advance the NASA Authorization Act and secured landmark investments in the Working Families Tax Cut Act to ensure the future of Artemis is bright, robust, and enduring. Now this crew, each of you, will turn those investments into reality. At a time of growing competition with China in space, this mission will strengthen America's leadership, expand our economy, and help secure a lasting American lunar presence. When America commits to a mission, we lead and we succeed. You will make our nation proud. Thank you for your commitment to this great nation's space program, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Hi, everybody. Congressman Brian Babin. Congratulations to the Artemis 3 crew. Following the successful mission of Artemis II, your selection marks another historic milestone in America's return to deep space. Each Artemis mission builds upon the last one, and the mission ahead is a critical next step as we prepare to return humans to the lunar surface and lay the foundation for a sustained presence on the moon alongside our international partners. You're carrying forward a very proud tradition of exploration that stretches from Mercury on to Apollo and now to Artemis. Through your dedication, courage, and service, you will help open a new chapter in humanity's journey beyond Earth. As you begin preparing for this mission, please know that you have the support of the American people. We will be praying for your training, for your families, and for your success in the months ahead. I am deeply honored to play a small part in supporting America's space program. I'm very proud of each of you for answering the call to explore. May your mission inspire future generations to dream boldly, to dare greatly, and to carry the spirit of discovery farther than ever before. God bless you. Thank you.
The story of human space exploration continues to inspire, and the momentum carries forward as the spotlight turns to the remarkable crew assembled here today. Randy, Luca, Frank, and Andre, we have a special group of people who would like to share some words with each of you. Joining us now, we have some of the Artemis II crew. Please help me in welcoming Reed, Victor, and Christina.
And more music, of course. Definitely need more music. Do, 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 do. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Come on now. All right. They just can't stop this stuff, can you? Sorry, guys. This lengthy musical stuff.
Comrade Randy,
interludes.
Luca, Frank, our backup, Andre, Douglas. So good to see your family out there. So good to see all the families. On behalf of myself, Christina, Victor, and we all know Jeremy wishes he was going to be here today, that he could be here. We just want to say how completely fired up we are for you. I hope you saw us down there cheering, screaming as loud as we could. And Randy, in your comments, I really loved when you said that you all are the link from to the surface. And that really resonated with me. And you guys know, because you work in the office, we've been carrying these batons around for way too long. And so with that, the Artemis II crew, comrade, hands you the baton. You got the controls.
I know all of us are very touched by the thoughtful symbolism of the passing of the baton. But I think now, after your mission, you're passing us something far greater. The world watched your mission. And over the course of those 10 days, we saw how you inspired people worldwide. You saw how something was ignited within people. It was ignited within all of us by watching your mission. While this may look like just a baton, right now it's in my hand, it feels like this big flaming, Olympic torch that you, Reed, Christina, Victor, and Jeremy lit. And the world was entranced by its flame for the 10 days of the mission. We, the Artemis III crew, are honored to be able to carry this torch forward, to be able to execute our mission, to make that flame burn brighter and pass it on. and be able to pass that flame on to the next crew that's out here. And so it is our distinct honor and privilege, and echoing the immortal words of Apollo 11's Michael Collins, to be carrying the fire through the next Artemis mission. Thank you.
And gotta have the drama at the end with the music. Can't forget that. Oh, my dear God in heaven. Oh, I have to admit, I'm excited for all these people, but some of this process just gets torturous.
Moment. As we wrap up today's announcement, I'd like to thank our amazing speakers and our esteemed guests, and most of all, our Artemis 3 crew, Randy, Luca, Frank, and Andre.
More music, of course. Oh, my God. That's just, and again, lots of excitement, obviously, and for good reason. For good reason. And of course, let's turn up the music too. Can't just have applause. You need to turn up the music more. Ugh. Jeez, they just can't stop with this. It's definitely this. The composer is definitely somebody at NASA owes this composer something big. No question about that. My God in heaven. So yeah, super excited. These are all very, very qualified people. There's no question about that. And I continue to maintain that that this is sadly not going to be the main story of Artemis 3. I don't know. I hope that this doesn't happen, but I can't imagine that it won't go this way. I can't imagine that the news agencies of the world aren't going to jump all over this. The fact that of the first 9, well, yeah, because you include the backup, of the first 9 Artemis astronauts, 1 is female. If there was nobody who was really, really qualified to go on Artemis 3, if there are no women, I would totally agree with this decision. But there are. Nicole Mann, for one thing, immense amounts of experience. Maybe she's going to go on Artemis 4. Maybe that's what the long-term plan is. You know, and Samantha Cristoforetti actually has the equal experience, at least, to and also more recent space experience compared to Luca. Is Luca just as qualified as her? Absolutely. Was he a good selection? Yes. And there could have been other reasons. It could be that Cristoforetti just didn't want to go to space again. There are many things that could have been happening behind the scenes that led to this happening. But given the whole DEI thing that's been going on for all this time, I can't imagine that this isn't going to be jumped on as to it. And then the polarization between pro-DEI and anti-DEI is going to become the story for a while, at least. I really hope it doesn't turn out that way, but I can't imagine how it won't. I can't imagine that people aren't going to jump on this. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm wrong, but I don't know. Got my fingers crossed. And I can't even say with confidence what was happening behind the scenes here. I can't say with confidence that these selections didn't have anything political involved. Maybe, maybe not. I really can't say for certain. So in any event, and believe me, nobody's going to be talking either. So I don't know. Well, again, fingers crossed. Hopefully this will be all about Artemis 3. Now off of that topic, because it's not the most important thing here, is the things that were said by Blue Origin. It's just amazing that they are saying that not only is there going to be a docking, the astronauts will go on board Blue Moon 2. They'll be testing out the life support and all of that. Wow. That's just mind-boggling stuff. That if Blue Moon has actually reached this level of maturity behind the scenes, that's some huge, huge stuff. If Blue Moon is that ready, then I think Blue Moon's going to be putting astronauts on the moon in 2000 with Artemis 4, because New Glenn will definitely be back in service, by the end of next year. I think it'll take at least 12 months, but probably not a whole lot longer than that. I think it'll probably be ready to put Blue Moon Mark II back in orbit before the end of next year. And if Blue Moon Mark II manages to dock and do all of these other things that they're talking about with Orion, if they can carry out all of those test operations, and Lunar Starship can't, because what SpaceX announced, which was interesting, was the fact that they had a high fidelity life support system. What that means is it's still a mock-up under construction. It's not the mature version yet that's ready to go, according to space, by their own admission, even though they said that Flight 12 was a successful demonstration of the version 3. No, it wasn't. Not with as many Raptor 3 failures as they had. They had to say something, though. I mean, my God, what were they going to say? That, that it was a disaster? I would have preferred it if they said we had a few hiccups. Would have been nice if they had at least admitted that. But nevertheless, they did not suggest that there was as much progress being made. Blue Origin said that the final version is under construction right now. The version that is going to space to dock with Orion is under construction right now, whereas SpaceX said that the high fidelity life support system is under construction. That's still mock-up level. That's not as advanced. Now, are either of them telling the truth? I don't know. But if Blue Origin is actually telling the truth, then that is really huge news. And that actually gives NASA a real chance of setting down on the moon before 2030 if Blue Moon Mark II is really that advanced in its development. And again, who knows? Because all of this stuff has been happening behind the scenes for years and years. Jeff Bezos has been focused on the moon for a very long time. The Blue Moon lander has gone through multiple iterations since the previous decade. So maybe they have made way more progress than they're admitting. And again, we won't know until we actually see what happens with Artemis 3 and what's developing with Artemis 3. But what I take away from what was announced today is that Blue Origin has that they've made more progress towards a mature lunar lander than SpaceX has. SpaceX has a rocket that will be capable of more things in the long run. Blue Moon Mark II will never be able to put 100 tons on the surface of the moon. So that's a huge, huge thing. And by the way, guys, may I say, I'm disappointed that so much of the conversation in the chat has been about moderation. Is it really that important? I don't know. Just accept the rules as they are and let's move on. Okay? These moderators have my support. They've been strong supporters of my channel forever. I don't look upon them as being dictators. There are very specific rules for chat that I support as well. Anyway, I'm sorry. I know that's frustrating for some people, but it's just the way it is in my chat. I really try to keep things focused on space and keep things polite and keep things just decent. That's all. But in any event, I don't know. That being said, though, we will see what ends up happening in the long run. If Blue Origin's made the kind of progress that they claim with Blue Moon Mark II, this is really good news for the future of Artemis. If they haven't, then yeah, then it's just nonsense. It's just a lot of propaganda. So we'll see. As I've said many times, I'm a show me guy. I don't believe any of this stuff until I actually see it. But if Blue Moon Mark II has made this kind of progress this quickly, and if they are capable of carrying out a docking maneuver with astronauts actually going on board the lander to test the life support and other systems of the lander as part of the Artemis 3 mission, that is huge. That changes everything. So that could be really good news, and I certainly hope it is. And I hope that this becomes the story of the Artemis 3 rollout today. I hope that this is what everybody focuses on, and not the fact that we have an all-male crew again. It looks way more like Apollo than it did the way Artemis was advertised at the beginning. One of the reasons that it was called Artemis, the sister of Apollo, is because women were going to get included as well. And yeah, that happened with Christina Koch, but so far, she's the only one out of the first 9. And that is going to ruffle feathers. I can't see how it won't, but I hope that's not going to become the main story, because it isn't. The main story is, are these claims being made? Are these lunar landers as ready as we're being led to believe? So I will, of course, keep you up to date on everything. I am watching this on a daily basis for any indications of development, any evidence that these claims are going to have something behind them. If Blue Origin needs to put their money where their mouth is here. If this is really true, they need to start showing us some details. They need to start showing us some hardware, and hopefully we're going to start seeing that soon. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate you folks tuning in today for this special event, and keep your eyes open, because we got some exciting stuff coming from Artemis, I think, here really soon. So until next time, stay angry about space.